You ever wonder why some politicians won't stop talking about banning TikTok? On the surface, they'll tell you it's all about national security, but behind the scenes, there's a lot more going on. And one name keeps popping up in the conversation, Mark Zuckerberg. See, TikTok isn't just another social media app, it's Meta's biggest competitor. Pretty much, the platform has exploded in popularity, especially with younger users. And that's horrible news for Facebook and Instagram, because when people spend more time scrolling TikTok, they're spending less time on Zuckerberg's platforms. And less time on Meta means fewer ad dollars for Zuckerberg. That's where things get intriguing, because instead of competing the old-fashioned way by making Facebook and Instagram better, Meta has spent millions lobbying to make TikTok disappear. So how much did Mark Zuckerberg actually spend trying to take down TikTok? Well, in 2023 alone, Meta spent a record-breaking $24.4 million on lobbying efforts. And in the first quarter of 2024, right when Congress started aggressively pushing a TikTok ban, Meta dropped another $7.6 million in just 3 months. Honestly, that's the most Meta has ever spent on lobbying in a single quarter. But here's the thing, this money wasn't just being thrown around randomly. Meta wasn't standing in front of Congress saying, "Ban TikTok so we can make more money." No, they were much more strategic. Honestly, they funneled money into political campaigns, consulting firms, and PR strategies designed to turn public and political sentiment against TikTok. One of the most revealing reports on this came in 2022, when it was exposed that Meta had hired a Republican consulting firm called Targeted Victory. Anyway, their mission? To push the idea that TikTok was a national security threat and to turn public perception against it. And how did they do it? By planting negative news stories about TikTok in local newspapers and major media outlets. They even worked to amplify fears among parents, making it seem like TikTok was an uncontrollable wild west of dangerous trends, one of the most shameless tactics. Actually, they took viral controversies that actually started on Facebook, things like dangerous challenges and misinformation, and blamed TikTok for them. Then they fed these stories to journalists, hoping they'd get picked up in the news cycle. And guess what? It worked. Suddenly, politicians, journalists, and the public were hearing constant reports about how TikTok was a threat to children and a tool for Chinese espionage. And Meta? They sat back and let the fear do its job. But here's what Meta didn't want people to realize. They were funding this entire narrative while doing the exact same things they were accusing TikTok of. Pretty much Facebook and Instagram have had their own privacy scandals, data leaks, and misinformation problems. But none of that was making headlines, because Meta had the money and influence to control the story, Okay, so why was Zuckerberg so desperate to take down TikTok's simple money? In April 2023, an analysis from Bernstein Research found that if TikTok got banned in the US, Meta would capture at least 55–60% of TikTok's ad revenue. That's billions of dollars in new ad money that would flow straight into Facebook and Instagram. Think about that for a second. Instead of spending years trying to win from TikTok, all Meta had to do was get rid of the competition entirely, and they had the resources to push for it. It wasn't just about ad money either. Pretty much, TikTok had become the biggest threat to Meta's dominance in social media. Pretty much while Facebook's user base was aging and Instagram was struggling to keep younger users engaged, TikTok was exploding in popularity, especially with Gen Z and Meta knew they were losing. Actually, you might remember how they scrambled to copy TikTok's format, introducing Reels on Instagram and Facebook. But here's the problem. Despite all their efforts, Reels never really took off the way TikTok did, basically. In fact, internal reports leaked in 2020 showed that Reels had way less engagement than TikTok videos, and that most users weren't even watching them for long. Zuckerberg had two choices. Either make a better product that could compete with TikTok, or get TikTok banned. Guess which one he chose? After all the money, lobbying, and political maneuvering, the biggest question is, did it actually work? Has Meta successfully taken down its biggest competitor? Well, not exactly. TikTok is still standing, and banning it has proven to be way more complicated than Meta probably expected. But that doesn't mean Meta walked away empty-handed, even though the ban hasn't happened yet. Zuckerberg's lobbying efforts have already damaged TikTok's reputation in the US and helped Meta in key ways. Number one, TikTok has been under constant legal and political scrutiny. Every few months, there's a new bill, a new government hearing, or a new lawsuit against TikTok. This scares off advertisers, making companies hesitant to invest in TikTok ads, which benefits Meta. Number 2, the uncertainty around TikTok has slowed down its business growth. Companies don't want to build long-term strategies on a platform that might be banned, which means more ad dollars stay with Instagram and Facebook. Meta has used the fear of a TikTok ban to boost Reels. Even though Reels hasn't been as successful as TikTok, Instagram, and Facebook have heavily pushed short-form video to capitalize on the uncertainty surrounding TikTok's future. So while Meta hasn't been able to kill TikTok, they've definitely weakened it, and they're not stopping anytime soon. The bigger picture, was it ever really about national security? From the very beginning, the official reason for banning TikTok was national security. Politicians and tech leaders claimed that because TikTok is owned by the Chinese company ByteDance, it could be used as a tool for spying on Americans. But if that were really the reason, then why aren't US politicians going after other tech companies with the same intensity? Facebook, Instagram, Google, and even Amazon all collect massive amounts of user data, in some cases, even more than TikTok does actually, but there's no serious movement to ban them. The real reason TikTok is a target? Pretty much. Number 1, Meta and other US companies don't want a foreign competitor dominating social media. TikTok isn't just another app, it has completely changed how people consume content. And the longer it sticks around, the harder it will be for Meta to stay dominant. Number 2, politicians love having an external enemy. Blaming China is an easy political move. It lets politicians push tough on China policies, while ignoring the fact that American tech companies have done the exact same things they accuse TikTok of doing. And number 3, US companies want TikTok's data and influence. Pretty much if ByteDance were forced to sell TikTok, an American company, possibly Meta, Google, or another tech giant could take control actually. That means all of TikTok's user data, ad revenue, and influence would stay in American hands at the end of the day. This whole situation isn't about national security, it's about power.I influence and billions of dollars. Mark Zuckerberg tried to take down TikTok the easy way, by spending millions to turn politicians against it. And while TikTok is still standing, Meta has already gained from the fight. They've weakened TikTok's reputation, scared advertisers, and kept their own platforms relevant. But the real question is, what happens next? Will the US honestly finally force ByteDance to sell? Will Meta keep pushing for a ban? Or will a new competitor rise up and threaten both of them? One thing is certain, this war isn't over. What do you think? Comment below. And if you enjoyed this video, make sure you hit the like button, and also don't forget to subscribe to our channel for more of these kinds of videos. Thanks for watching.